Welcome to Dropout 22, a GD Media production. The All Blacks have done it. They've made history. Back-to-back World Cups. Is this the best team we have ever seen? We'll dissect it here next. Joining me in the studio, I've got a heartbroken Australian, Patrick Andrews. On the phone, I've got the fastest man in the southwest, Will Corsi, and Welsh touch rugby hero Guy Griffiths. And joining me on the phone, somewhere from Bruges, I think, this week, is Jimbo Muir. We got interviews from Dan Carter, Sonny Bill Williams, Man Nonu, Nehe Milner-Skudder. It's going to be a massive show. Welcome aboard! Gentlemen, welcome to Dropout 22. New Zealand are the world champions. Patty is in tears next to me here. But Jimbo, what did you make of that on Saturday? How good were your boys?
Oh, they were fantastic, Gareth. I'm just recovering from a 4-day party to celebrate it, to be honest with you, mate. But I thought the game was great. The Wallabies came back, really won the second half. But I think the boys just played out of their skin, and one of the best Test matches that they'll ever play.
What was the difference on the day, do you reckon?
I think that first half, that 40 minutes of sustained pressure, although they did come back in the second half, that last 10 to 15 minutes where they really put the foot on the throttle and kind of got away with it again there.
And Patty, was it a game that you lost or a game that the All Blacks won?
No, look, you have to be fair. That team, when you can bring off the bench someone called Sonny Bill Williams, he's not even in your starting team, you're always going to be hard up against it. Losing Giddo in the first half really didn't help as well, because he sort of is the key for our defence. Losing Kane Douglas, which is the key for our line-out, and does a lot of our tackles. So we certainly didn't help ourselves, but you got to admire the All Blacks. That New Zealand side is pretty special, and they certainly deserve to win. And
Corsi, it's a case of just dreaming that a Northern Hemisphere side could reach one of those levels one day, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Whether you're English or you're Welsh or Irish, and, well, don't worry about if you're Scottish. Yeah, no, just the overall class of that final, just both teams, but yeah, just New Zealand just looked just a complete side, which I think, yeah, any Northern Hemisphere team is miles away from.
And we've talked about the difference, Guy, in Northern and Southern Hemisphere. I mean, what is it that just sets them apart from not only the Northern Hemisphere teams, but the rest of the world now?
They seem to just be fearless when the ball's in play. We kick it a lot more, and not kick to regain. We just get rid of it. They run it from everywhere. If it's on, it's on. It's just a completely different game. The Northern and Southern Hemisphere games are so different. We're playing in the mud week in, week out, where pick and goes are obviously successful. Doesn't really translate into the international game when all of a sudden you've got an All Black team from 1 to 15 who can all catch and pass the ball, and our 1 to 8 basically pick, run straight, and then fall on the floor. It needs to be a sea change now, otherwise I don't think we're ever going to be able to compete.
Now let's get back to the final. New Zealand scorched ahead, got themselves into an 18-point lead, and then Australia came roaring back. Pat, did you think at any stage we've got this?
Yes, I did. To be honest with you, Gareth, I always think that I'm going to win or my team's going to win. I think that's why I'm always so devastated whenever I don't win. To be fair, we looked the business. We really threw caution to the wind and went for it. And but for the turning point of the game was Dan Carter dropping that 40-metre drop goal from nowhere. Took all the momentum away from us. Put the point gap from 4 to 7. So that we were no longer able to get ahead with one score. So we had to score twice, and that changed the flow back in to New Zealand's favour. And that's the way the All Blacks play.
Yeah, Dan Carter with 19 points, man of the match, and the next day he got voted World Player of the Year. Let's hear from Dan Carter. I had a chat with him in the post-match press conference area.
To be honest, I was pretty tired out there. Playing with 14 men, I thought Australia played extremely well. They kicked well. Obviously, without Ender at the back, they kicked well, put us under a lot of pressure and scored a couple of tries and made a real game of it. Credit has to go to the Australian side. They played well all year, and they're worthy finalists tonight, and they put us under a lot of pressure. But just the way we sort of bounced back. That sort of last 10-15 minutes was really pleasing. I guess the pool play. We're trying a few new things. We're trying different combinations. We're pushing ourselves quite hard at training. Trainings are very physical, and all we were focusing on was that quarter final, and that's all that was guaranteed for us. And then once we won that, it gave ourselves another week, and it just went on like that. So this side showed a lot of great sort of self-belief, and need to sort of be standing where we are today, winning back-to-back World Cups is it's just such a unique and special feeling.
So Jimbo, how good was he? How good is he?
For me, he's the best fly half the game's ever had. IRB Player of the Year, if you had looked at the whole season, probably not. If you looked at the last 3 games that mattered in a World Cup year, he'd definitely be the man you'd want at number 10. But no, he's just something else. He attacks, he defends, he goal kicks. I think he's a complete package, and there's been some great fly halves, but I think he's the best of them of all time.
And it's going to be a pretty big space to fill now, isn't it? I mean, yes, you've got your Barretts, yes, you've got your Slades, yes, you've got your Crudens, but who do you want to see really step up and grab that shirt?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be near impossible to fill the boots of that. But I'd love to see Aaron Cruden. I know he's had an injury problem, but I think he's good enough to step in, and he showed that over the last couple of years that he can control the game. If he gets his goal kicking up to the high 80s.
Okay, Jimbo just breaking up there, but basically he's saying that Dan Carter is the best that we've seen. Maybe Cruden can come in and try and do a job. But Patty, I'd assume that you probably didn't agree with Dan Carter being voted the best player on the planet.
Well, he certainly deserved a lot of awards, a lot of accolades, but for me, the outstanding player this year has to have been David Pocock. And I'm not just saying that from through my Australian eyes, but more, if you just look at the stats and everything he's done on the field this year, especially. I mean, coming back from 2 knee reconstructions, and to still play with such fearlessness is, speaks volumes of the bloke and the player he is. But look, I don't want to take anything away from Mr. Carter. He's again, as I said, that was the turning point in the match when he slotted that 40-metre drop goal from nowhere, and that's the kind of calm, level-headed play, control of the game that wins you World Cups. Absolutely, and we're just blessed that you look at that short list, maybe Greg Laidlaw aside, but we are blessed with some absolute superstars in the game of rugby union, and we're lucky enough to watch them every week. Steve Hansen, after the game in the post-match press conference, he called Richie McCaw the best All Black ever. Let's have a listen to it.
Yes, I think he is probably the greatest All Black we've ever had, meaning Richie, and Dan's a close second. And the only thing that probably separates them is one's a flanker, and you shouldn't play 148 or 49, is it? 48 test matches as a flanker, like that's unheard of. You put your body on the line every time you play there, and there was a lot of talk going into this game about the loose forward trio, and I think, without wanting to be disrespectful to the other guys who I thought played really well, I think our trio tonight won that battle, and I think Rico was the leader of our trio. So we're very fortunate to have players like that, and the opportunity will come for someone else now to try and be better than him, or better than Dan. And they're both of them great players.
Guy, probably the biggest cheat in world rugby, but if you've got that number 7 on your back, then that's what you got to do, isn't it?
You've got to push the law slightly, I think. Yeah, I think he's right. I think he is the best ever. There was a stat come out on the weekend that the Richie McCaw's won 1/3 of the All Blacks games ever, which is just incredible. So basically, since the dawn of time, since the game of rugby was invented, every match that All Blacks have played, Richie McCaw has played in more than 1/3, and he's won 1/3. I don't think there's any argument whatsoever that he is the best ever. He is a pain in everyone's arse, which he's there to do a job. He doesn't go down too well. I doubt very much he goes down very well across the Tasman. He doesn't go down too well in my household. I think he's the biggest cheat that's ever played the game, but you've got to admire him because he is one hell of a competitor and one hell of a player.
Might not be admired in other countries, Jimbo, but I'd imagine he's an absolute godlike figure in New Zealand, isn't he?
Oh, he is indeed. I mean, it's cool for him to be the next Prime Minister. That's taken a bit far, but that's how much the public love him. I mean, I'll go as far to say he's probably the best player to have played the game. 147 tests, 109 as captain, and a winning ratio of 88%. I think that won't be beaten again, and that longevity in a position that demands so much physically won't be matched ever. I don't imagine. And yeah, I think for that reason he's probably the best, definitely the best All Black, and probably the best player of all time.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'll just say, look, hard to argue his stats, but have a look at the players he's played alongside. Have a look at the team he's playing in as well, and that's got to speak a lot about the winning ratio also.
But you look at the depth of the All Blacks, and you think that the people coming up underneath them, to be able to keep them out for 147 tests. There's been 153 All Blacks who have debuted since he debuted, and to be able to sustain that position in a rugby like New Zealand, where depth is big.
Absolutely. But I don't think. Look, he's certainly worthy of being spoken about as the best player ever. But as a shoe-in, I mean, the stats certainly tell one story, but they don't tell the whole story. And I think
it's not Stephen Larkham, mate. It's not Stephen Larkham.
Stephen Larkham is probably the best player ever to wear the cup.
Right, before we get too off track, we'll cut it short there, Patty. But you mentioned the team there. Have we just watched the best rugby team that have ever played the game?
But yeah, well, I mean, I guess in a word, yes. I guess the what they've achieved, what they're probably the records they've set. Things that'll never be broken, like Jimbo says. I think we may see a better team in the future. Certainly, you can never say never. But in terms of consistency, in terms of dominance, it's pretty special. This team, and it's probably up there as the best team to have played.
Now, Corsi, I know you've got a bit of a soft spot for the 2003 England team, but are these boys the real deal? Are these boys the best?
Yeah, I think. Looking at the whole team, you've got so many standout characters for them. So many other people, one done and off game or something like that, on a rare occasion. You've got other people to step up into the plate. Looking at just like Nonu's, just look like a different class of centre on Saturday, as much as I can remember of the game. I've had a couple of beers myself. But yeah, going back to like this. The stats and all that malarkey, it's a bit different with the fact that they play different. They push shipper teams a lot of the time, but they also do play the Aussies and South Africa week in, week out. It seems like, but they're just the side in general were just unbelievable, and I think most deserving of the tournament. And they were just different class of players.
Guy, in one word, are they the best team that's ever played the game?
Yes, yeah. Can I elaborate? It's just I think they're the best team that's ever played. Not because of their dominance. It's because of the teams they've beaten. Basically, you look at the Aussies right now. That's the best Aussie team in God knows how long. You look at the English. Apart from every other team on the planet, the English and apart from the English and French, every other team is right up there right now. They can all compete. They've been all. Even Georgia scored against them. And when was that gonna? When would that ever happen? Basically, the All Blacks are the best because they've dominated against teams which are so far superior to what they were 4, 8, 12 years ago. they're still beating them. So that's why I believe they're the best ever.
And one man who's played his last game for this best ever team is Man Nonu, and I caught up with him after the game.
Oh, I guess in the first half we just wanted to be direct, really. Look after the pill, and I thought they defended well the first 20 minutes. Couldn't get over the line. They turned us over a couple of times, and just towards the end of the first half, scored 2 tries. So.
What about that pass from Sonny?
Yeah, it was a brilliant pass. He's the best passer. I think up until this week we just had the focus of just really putting everything out there, really on the pitch. Especially in terms of what was happening after, in terms of players leaving, and that's what we didn't want that to get in the way. And our main motivation was to play for each other.
Man Nonu there, I mean, how much has this guy developed his game? He burst onto the scene as just a bit of a crash ball specialist, really, and he put a couple of seriously good kicks in on Saturday. His passing game, he can ming it 20 yards off either hand. Yeah, he's got an unbelievable offloading game. His defensive games come on leaps and bounds. Jimbo, you've probably watched him come up from making his debut to the game on Saturday. What have you made of him developing as a player?
Yeah, I think in the last 4 or 5 years he's been the best number 12 in the world. As you mentioned, when he came on the scene, he was very one-dimensional, very vulnerable on defence, often got found out on the outside. But he's obviously gone away and worked hard on that. And in the last 4 years, as you touched on, his game has developed, and he now has, all aspects that's needed from a world-class 12. And we're seriously going to miss him. I think that's going to be. I mean, we've got Sonny Bill, who's no mug himself. So luckily we've got some depth there, but a big loss.
And let's hear from Sonny Bill then. I talked to him after the game.
I knew I'd been playing some really good footy this tournament, but I didn't want to leave it there. I just wanted to go out there and make an impact. I knew I was going to get a bit of time tonight, so just really pleased for all the brothers, especially the boys that are leaving, moving on. It's a pretty happy dressing room in there, but more importantly, it's a happy country back home. All our friends and families that support us all through it. And, not just them, but just the public support has been immense, and just really happy to get that win in the end.
Did you see Matta behind you, Sonny?
No, I just closed my eyes and just threw it. And of course, bro, I wouldn't have passed it otherwise. But he done his magic, and we're lucky to get a try there and get a few points ahead. Oh well, obviously, I've got a couple of close friends in Australia that play for Australia, and just there always has to be a winner, there always has to be a loser. And thank God we were the winner today. It could have easily been us on the other side of the draw, but just you can't really say too much, to console them afterwards. But that's the sport we play, and that's why we love it. It was getting pretty tight there, but the boys dug deep, and I think that's when you know that the team's more than team. It's kind of like a brotherhood, because you bust your ass and you cover tackles, and you just push that little bit extra where because it's the brotherhood. You're doing it for each other, and just really happy she's at the moment. Probably wasn't spoken too much, but we knew that we had to send Skip out a winner. We knew that we had to send the rest of the boys out winners too. So like I said before, it's a happy change room, but thank God we come away with a win.
Now, he makes a lot of headlines for a lot of the right reasons, and he's been criticised in the past for being a bit of a sort of show pony and all the rest of it, but surely he's put those criticisms to bed now. I mean, Conrad Smith was, for me, the best player on the pitch in that first half. He came on for him on Saturday, and the New Zealanders, although they stuttered a little bit with Ben Smith in the sim bin, I thought Sonny Bill was absolutely outstanding. His first 2 moments of the game, first of all an offload to get Nahim on the scudder over the line, and then found himself in the first receiver's position. Took the ball in. I think I counted 5 Aussie players go in to track him. He lobs the ball over the top, and Nonu goes under, and all the rest of it. Jimbo, I think you're in pretty safe hands if he decides to stay in rugby union and not go back to rugby league.
Yeah, I think so. It's a shame, really, because a lot of the New Zealand public really give him grief. They say he kind of dips his toes in a few different pies, which I think if you've got the ability to do so, then why not? But he's a fantastic athlete that he's shown across rugby league, rugby union, and to a certain degree boxing. So someone like that, his work ethic, his professionalism is meant to be outstanding. So he's going to be a huge bonus to stay on with the All Blacks till I think he's signed till 2017, hasn't he?
You know better than me.
I think he's
the
going
Lions.
next year.
You'll stick to Lions.
Now, Guy, you've been one of his biggest critics in the past. What did you make of him in this World Cup?
He's been a lot better in the World Cup, hasn't he? I think he's moulded into some sort of impact sub. So the All Blacks know that if they bring him on and they get his head straight, he's going to cause carnage. It's what he did when he first came over to Union. He had his head screwed on. He was running at holes, getting behind the defensive line and offloading it. Then he went back to league, come back to Union, and thought that he could offload every time he took it into contact, whether it was through his legs, whatever. And it sort of went to pot. He sort of got back to that form now from when he burst onto the scene. He was excellent when he came on, as you said, Gaz. And he's been excellent through the World Cup as well. And I think he might just be happy now that he knows he's being used well, and he knows his time will come, and he seems to be settled now. And just to see if he keeps up this attitude now when he gets that 12 jersey.
Now, of course, he'd kill for your speed, but you know what it takes to start in a 12 jersey up the mighty Swans. What's the difference between starting and benching? Do you reckon he's got what it takes to actually start a game and be as effective as he is coming off the bench?
I think it's him coming off the bench, like Guy says, that impact that he's got that extra energy, you've got that bit of creativity he brings and he brings that sort of danger element. If you have him throughout the whole match, then I think with his ability and skills that he's got, it's going to be there all game. You're not the sort of bloke you can leave for 5 minutes and think you can get away with it. He's going to exploit you. He's a cracking player, and he's pretty much made Guy eat his own words.
Always nice, always nice. Patty?
Yeah.
That's a lot of words to eat, Guy, I guess.
What's your take on SBW?
Yeah, he's a supreme athlete, pure and simple. Impact player. I disagree. He's certainly an 80-minute player, if not more, coming from rugby league background where arguably the players are fitter. The game is certainly much more, I guess, back and forth, a lot of running in rugby league, 10-metre line, so he's certainly never been an issue in terms of his concentration or his fitness. The only reason he's an impact player for the New Zealand side is because they've got such good players there already and such depth. So any other team in the world, he's starting. He may even be captain. So it's not an issue there. He's a supreme athlete and he'll succeed in whatever he does.
Now, obviously, the old guard moving out, the new guard coming in. One of those is Nehe Milner-Skudder. An absolute dream for a commentator. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. You can really get yourself into it. And he's shown that he's not just a name. He's proved it this World Cup and got a try on Saturday. Let's listen to what he had to say after the game.
Yeah, honoured to be playing alongside some legends of the game, and looking to my left here, and there's Martin Nunu, that's the guy I look up to, and to be out there alongside him, that's huge, and some other boys in the team as well. It's just massive for me. So.
Guy, he reminds me a lot of Shane Williams in the way that Milner-Skudder steps off his right, you know it's coming. Shane Williams used to step off his left, you knew that was coming, but it's very different knowing something's coming and actually stopping it.
Yeah, clearly. You look at the calibre of player who he's making look like an absolute fool. I think out of the Dropout 22 gang, only Corsi has the gas to match him, so none of us would be able to stop him.
Agreed.
He's just harking back to the old school again, like Shane was, all the steppers before the big wingers came into fashion. It's nice to see, to be honest, because basically, what's easier? You want to run clean over somebody, or you're going to run a gap? The All Blacks got it right when they give him space. They realise that if they give him 101, Milner-Skudder will beat the first man. And I think he's perfect for the All Blacks. He's an excellent He's an excellent runner, and he's going to have a long All Black career in front of him, because as long as they keep shifting the ball like they do and giving him ones-on-ones, I think it's going to cause problems for defenders all day long.
Now, Jimbo, the All Blacks have got a habit of bursting wingers onto the scene, and they score more tries than tests they've played in. The likes of Sivivatu early on in his career, Rokokoko, you got Dougie Howler, every single All Black winger, Sevilla as well, whoever puts a winger jersey on early doors, they just seem to score tries. How good can he be?
Yeah, I think he's been fantastic. It's good to see another man with a two boy in the fold. I think that testament to the way the All Blacks play. You see a lot of their wingers and fullbacks getting tries, but it's good to see him bring that confidence he had at the Hurricanes and transfer that straight to the international scene. And I think he's been great, and he'll have a fantastic All Blacks career moving forward.
Patty, you told me off air that you think he's peaked.
Yeah, I do actually. I think this is the best he'll be. I think teams will wise up a little bit around him. He's broken onto the scene now. We can know what to expect from him, and I can't see him really being an all-time All Black at all, to be honest. But I've been known to be wrong on occasion, and only
if they
time
keep
will tell.
giving him one-on-ones, Patty, if they keep giving him one-on-ones like that, there's no stopping him. It's the All Black. It's the All Black way they play, rather than Neil Muscada's natural ability, I'd say.
Yeah, certainly. I mean,
really good. But yeah.
Like we said, I mean, a lot of the All Blacks wingers get tries. Jimbo said it. It's testament to the way they play, certainly. But what that doesn't mean he's anything particularly over and above any of the other All Blacks wingers. I'd probably score tries for the All Blacks if I was on the wing. So it's not like we've seen the next wave of superstar. I think he's had a fantastic World Cup. I think he played well for the Hurricanes, certainly. But all sports full of breakout players who never go on to be the superstars that people often suggest they might be. And I think we've got another one here.
So,
But like Craig Cooper, or
he appeared in his Toulon shirt today.
he didn't.
He did, yeah. So let's get on to talking about Australia then. Michael Cheika was named Coach of the Year by World Rugby. I think absolutely deservedly so. He's been one of the most impressive individuals in the World Cup for me. I think every time he talks, he just talks sense and he talks from the heart, and I don't think there's much of that left in professional sport. Patty, just try and sum up how impressed you've been with him and his transformation of this Wallaby team, where 12 months ago you boys were really struggling.
Absolutely. I think all the success that we've experienced this year, and you know what, success to come, even if he's around for who knows how long, I think he's started something for sure that's going to see Australian rugby certainly come back to more into the public thought. Because in all honesty, it's not a team that really gets a huge amount of support, especially over the last 10 years or so. It's a team that's been really troubled with infighting. It's been troubled with off-field incidents. It's been troubled with just a bad culture surrounding the side. And there's only one way to stem the flow, and that's with a culture shift. And that's certainly something that Czech has orchestrated. And it really, sets us in good stead for years to come. And I think he's been a fantastic influence, not just for the Wallabies, for Australian rugby. He won the Super Rugby with the Waratahs, and a perennial underachiever in terms of Super Rugby. And it's certainly shown what he can do, and hopefully it carries on.
He's actually the only coach in the world who's led a team to a Northern Hemisphere prime club competition in the Heineken Cup and the Super Rugby in the Southern Hemisphere. He's actually the only coach in the world to ever have done that, and that's all without ever pulling on the Wallaby jersey. Now he's managed to drill it into these players how much it means and the difference that what it actually means to pull that jersey on. How's he managed to do that without ever actually being in that position himself?
I mean, that's a good point, but I think that's the key, is the fact that he hasn't played for the Wallabies. He's a fan first and foremost, so he's a frontline fan. He knows what it means because it means that much to him as a fan for the team, for the sport. I think too often, and the English saw it with Martin Johnson. He played for the English side. He was successful. Therefore, he'll be a good coach. He'll instill a winning culture, a winning mentality. Doesn't work like that. The most passionate people, arguably, are your armchair generals, your punters in the pub who are screaming at the television, especially when Nigel Owens misses a forward pass, and are the ones who really, they bleed for it on the inside, I guess. And I think that's something that you need to remember, especially in professional sport.
Corsi, how impressed have you been with the Wallabies? I mean, they gave you an absolute pumping, didn't they, Butte? I mean, just how good were they?
Yeah, to bring it up. Yeah, no, yeah, like you said, the turnaround again, from the 12 months ago before they coming into the World Cup, it was more of the Welsh that we were probably, well, I wouldn't say fearing, but they beat us. We were looking like we were going to be the top dogs in that group, and Wales and Australia were fighting for second.
You're only thinking you're going to be top dogs in your own eyes. No one expected you to do anything, to be honest, mate.
Not even the Welsh thought you were going to.
You didn't fear the Welsh. Maybe you should have, mate.
Right, that brings us on quite nicely, actually, to talk about someone who isn't here. That's Sam Whiting, who still owes us a tattoo, and Patty, actually, to my right hand side, owes me 40 quid because he bet me that, or I bet him rather, that Australia wouldn't win the World Cup on Saturday. So we'll get on to that. But Sammy couldn't come on the show today because he told me he was having drinks with brokers, very important work business, only for my girlfriend to walk past him in the street waiting for a date. So Sammy, I hope it all goes well. And we'll dive into our fantasy rugby teams. So, last week was our blindside flankers. We had Richard Hill put forward by our two Englishmen. We had Thierry Dusautois put forward by Guy. And we had Schalkberger put forward by Jimbo and Pat. I wrote an article not long ago which got me a lot of stick, and it was called The Overrated 15. And in the number 6 jersey, or the number 7 jersey, sorry, for the overrated 15 was Schalkberger. He's done a little bit to change my mind, but not enough to get him into that starting jersey. So I think for the performances typified by that 2007 quarter-final against the All Blacks at Cardiff, it's going to have to be Thierry Dusautois. So now we come on to our best number 7 in the professional era. Boys, I think I can speak for us all. 2 words, Richie McCaw.
Lobshaw.
Richie McCaw's an absolute shoe, and we don't need a discussion about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the second best number 7 in the professional era. Patty, we'll come to you first.
George Smith. I think he certainly gives Richie McCaw a run for his money, right up there with him. I think he's been, or was, a superstar for Australian rugby. He was a real out-and-out 7 in every sense of the word. Wasn't as good as cheating as Richie McCaw, but we all know he's the Lance Armstrong of international rugby. But to be fair, evidence in his longevity as well. The last Lions tour in Australia, they brought him back because we were running low due to injuries, and he changed the game for us. And in that final game, we were destined to lose when he got knocked out, and we lost his impact. So, superstar, and has got longevity as well.
I'm playing for the Wasps now over in the English Premiership, and we'll be covering that, the English Premiership and the club game next week on Dropout 22. Jimbo, let's come to you. Who's your second best number 7 in the professional era?
It pains me to say it, but I have to agree with Patrick. I'm going to go George Smith. I mean, there's a light and day between himself and Richard McCaw. I don't agree with comparing apples and pears. But no, he was a great player, and like Pat, he's playing now, and he's been a warhorse for years and years. And in his prime, he was something special. So he's my second best.
Guy, you going to give him a hat trick?
Yep.
There it is. Corsi, there's got to be an Englishman that you're going to pick somewhere in there.
Yeah, well, yeah, go on, fuck it. I'll go Neil back. Why not?
Go on then.
Enough said.
Enough said. There we go.
Right.
Let's finish then It's been absolutely incredible. I've absolutely loved it. I'm sure you boys have. But what has been your best moment of the Rugby World Cup? Jimbo, we'll come to you first.
I mean, it's got to be the All Blacks winning it. It's got to be last Saturday night. It's got to be Richie holding up the cup after a great game and a great 8 years.
Corsi, your best moment?
I quite enjoyed it when that security guard snotted that kid, but no, I think it's got to be all those New Zealand boys, all the ones that are retiring. You know, greats in the like one of the best teams in the world or ever. Like 6 of them are retiring. It was just a nice way to go out, a nice way to end it. They deserved it. I think, yeah, it's got to be that final, and then just present another cup for those boys.
Guy?
The best moment of the World Cup was Japan ramming up the South Africans.
Yeah.
And there were also several points in the World Cup that were slightly lower. It was when Bernard Foley scored against England, when he scored his second, when Gitter scored, and when Lloyd Williams scored against England to ram it home and knock them out their own World Cup.
Now, you mentioned your top moment there. I gave up tickets to Japan against South Africa because I thought I told my colleagues, you go and cover this because I'm not that interested in going because it's just going to be a case of how much South Africa win by, and it is a regret I will take to my grave. Patty, what about yourself?
Yeah, you stole mine. I was definitely going to say Japan. I think this will always be remembered as the World Cup that Japan beat South Africa. Not only that, they were the first team to win 3 games and not make it out of the group stages. Certainly a better achievement than England this World Cup. And the
only Northern Hemisphere team to beat a rugby championship team.
There you go. And I think my second highlight, and I watched this live, I was jumping and screaming like we'd just won the World Cup, like Jimbo was last week. When the Georgia, I believe it was, inside centre bowled over the New Zealand line to score a try. I thought that was fantastic and a real highlight for me as well.
Now, boys, it's Japan next, so it's quite fitting that we've come full circle. Japan in 2019, but that's not it for Dropout 22. We'll be back next week. There's no World Cup rugby, but there's plenty of rugby that we can get our teeth stuck into. Thank you very much for joining me over the last couple of weeks, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. This has been Dropout 22, a GD Media production.